Hello, fellow witches. I just wanted to do another quick live in my succession of lives for beginning witches, things that you might want to consider as you're stepping forward in your magic, stepping forward into your power. I'm answering questions that people have, and then I'm putting out some thoughts of my own. Please keep those questions and ideas that you'd like to see covered. DM me, place them in a comment, and I will try to cover those topics. One thing that I think is important as you're beginning your spiritual journey, there's so much information out there. It's so easy to become overwhelmed and intimidated. And one of the things you'll hear bandied about quite a bit is Book of Shadows and Grimoire. In fact, you'll hear Book of Shadows a lot more because I think a lot of the different TV shows use that term quite a bit. A Book of Shadows and or a Grimoire are basically basics in the tradition of witchcraft. Relatively modern in some ways because a lot of the craft dates back to a time when people didn't read and write, and they probably wouldn't want to have kept records. So it's a little bit interesting. The history is a little sketchy. A lot of the really old grimoires, if you look back, were written by men who were more like alchemists, that kind of a thing. But for practical purposes, a grimoire is a book where you keep and organize the information that you think is important to what you're doing. Spells, the meaning of various symbols, the uses of various herbs, all kinds of information. A lot of people have a binder with sections so they can organize the different information as it, filters in. And that's one way of doing it. The other extreme, I have seen some amazing grimoires. My friend Hilda Merriwick, who's on Facebook, she creates beautiful grimoires and beautiful pages inside there of information, handwritten, basically destined to become a family hand-me-down, an heirloom. Don't let yourself get intimidated. What's important is that you have all your information in a place where you can easily access it. So, I'm one of the people who has 3-ring binders, and I have page protectors because I'm sort of messy. I'm a nitty-gritty witch, and so I have a lot of my spells and different chants, information, things like that in those protectors inside those binders, so I can switch it out. So, opposed to the grimoire is the Book of Shadows, which sometimes people change the names around, but traditionally a Book of Shadows is more like a journal of your workings. It's very personal and very intimate. And it will have the date, perhaps, that you did a spell, how you did the spell, if there were substitutions, what you used, time of the moon, whatever information is important is recorded there. And then ultimately the outcome of that spell. How did that go? How did that work out? Is there something you would do differently next time? It's like a magical journal. And that, for the most part, I've seen organized chronologically. It's really important to have these records because magic, witchcraft, spellcraft, whatever you want to call this, is not static. It's a living tradition, and it changes. It has a lot to do with your energy, the surrounding energy, the geography around you, the spirits around you, what materials are available to you from your own location that speak to the spirits in that location. There's so many layers. So it's really important to keep a record. And there's pages. I'm going to have to get some of those pages available for people, because I'd really like for you, if you're beginning, to be able to keep that type of a record. Dream journal. Thank you, Love Night Angel. Yes, dream journal is something different. That's more in the psychic realm. People who are doing psychic dream work, that's a specific kind of journal. But I can just really quickly go over that. A dream journal is something kept specifically for you if you're doing dream work. You keep it generally beside your bed. It's only used for things around dreams. Before you go to sleep at night, it's very helpful to write the date, because it sets the intention that you're going to try to remember your dream and have something to write in the morning. And you go to sleep with that intention. There's many things that you can do to encourage psychic dreams. That's not the point of this live. It would make it way too long. These are already too long. But then when you awaken, right away, first thing you do is you pick up that journal and you write in it. Even if you had no dream that you can remember, you even just write that, because you're establishing a habit, like we mentioned in the first video, a routine, and you're sending a message out. So that's what dream journals are. It's a little bit different. You'd want to keep something specific for that. That's for psychic work. But so grimoire doesn't need to be fancy, but it's where you keep your information, your spells, your chants, whatever you want to keep. It does not need even to be handwritten. It can be photocopied. It can be, typed out off the internet, whatever you want to do. But it's sort of a clean copy. And it's the Book of Shadows that's the working copy. That's where you're going to have your little pages in there with notes on them. You may even go back later and add something. That's where you can really see your work as it progresses in real time. So if you're going to be following this path and you're following along, I really suggest, at the very minimum, get yourself a couple of 3-ring binders to start with, and a hole punch or page protectors, and really start designating one as the grimoire and one as the Book of Shadows. And even as we're coming up on this new moon, and I post things for the new moon working, for example, you can type something up or print something up around that ritual that I will post, and that would be for your grimoire. And then your Book of Shadows, what did you actually do? What time did you do it? What was it like? How did it feel? What spirits did you address? What did you add to that? Because most of the spells that you see, you can dress out, you can personalize. And that's the kind of thing that you're going to want to put in your Book of Shadows. So I hope that's helpful. That's a quick rundown. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put some pages up that you can download to begin making the grimoire and begin making the Book of Shadows. The Book of Shadows is a lot of fun, because that's where you really get to see how your magic evolves. And the grimoire, if you do feel inclined, and if you're gifted, like my friend Hilda Merriwick, you can go all out and make beautiful pages for that as well. Can you also write your own tarot card interpretations in the Book of Shadows? I would have a tarot journal. Because I think it's something somewhat different. Most people who are learning tarot or working with tarot, even with magic, they have a tarot journal that's specific to tarot. I know this sounds like a lot of journals, but it really helps. You can get a lot of information over the rest of your life. You're going to need notebooks. They're not that expensive. But a tarot journal, I have pages for that as well. I'm going to have to see if I can get some of these pages up for all of you. But I think it's enough to have a whole book just on the tarot. If you're working with tarot, I would say for runes, if you're doing runes, have a whole book on that. Okay? Herbs, not so much, because people do it. Oh, never heard of a tarot journal, but sounds good. It really is. And it's helpful because they usually have different pages for different spreads. There's even information that you can include there. I need to upload a tarot journal in my shop that people can download. Let me know if you think that would be helpful, because I have a lot of different pages that I can, put up that you can use if that kind of gets you a jump start. Also on Etsy, I've got to say, Etsy has some amazing pages that you can purchase and download and print for your own private use. Informative pages, template pages for you to fill in. They have some beautiful things there too. And I love them. If I wasn't the nitty-gritty witch, I'd be doing that. I have a terrible habit of writing spells on the backs of envelopes, on the scraps of paper that I find laying around, and then I become attached to them. And so then I have to laminate them so I can put them in there. Here's someone who has a book just for manifestation. Very cool. Very cool. Because really, when you do that, it sends a strong message to the universe. That energy, that intention, all in that, journal. I mean, it really becomes a conduit. So I really like that. But, I have a lot of recipes that I use for oil and that type of thing. And sometimes they're even ongoing. I make changes. So I've always been very haphazard with them. But now that I'm teaching people and I'm teaching my grandchildren, it became just a big old mess for them. So I've had to actually kind of type them up. And I have a book of recipes now that I keep in my kitchen for all my different oils and incenses and baths and all that stuff. It's just like a little recipe book. My granddaughter Maria was so excited when she came over and I asked her to mix something for me. And she gave a sigh because she thought she was going to have to dig through a box for the recipe. And I pulled out my binder and I opened it up, and there was the recipe neatly in a page protector. And she just looked at me and smiled. So I was kind of proud of that. I'm not too old to change. So think about getting those notebooks, and I will post on my Instagram and let you know if I'm able to start getting some of those pages up somewhere for you to be able to download them, if it would be helpful. So have a good rest of your day. That's it. I just want to start people getting organized because information is going to come your way. Many blessings.